What is going on, everyone? Anthony Drew Gary here, host of the How To Show, where we talk about optimizing life, money, and happiness, one how to at a time. And this week on the show, I truly have a how to, and it's how to split your finances when you're married. And I don't know that I've necessarily got all the right answers on this. This is a topic that I think is pretty polarizing, one that I definitely have an opinion on, but I'm not certain that I'm right for everyone. And there's a Wall Street Journal article from not that long ago that I want to reference and read a little bit of it and make some points and maybe some counterpoints to it. And I think this will just be a fun video for this week. And ultimately, I'd love your feedback on it. Either you do or you don't share your finances with your spouse. And I want to hear about it either in the comments or in the Facebook page that I share this to, just to get some dialogue going. And so let me share my screen and we'll get into that article. So we've got key to happiness or distrust. The couples who itemize their monthly bills. This is a Wall Street Journal article from late July. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to go through some highlighted items here that I think are fun or interesting or whatever. And so a Bankrate survey conducted late last year found that 62% of married adults and those who living with a partner kept some or all of their finances separate. And I think that this line starts to delineate really how I feel about the article in general. I don't necessarily feel like married adults and those who are living with a partner should necessarily be on the same page in terms of whether or not they keep their finances separate or together. And so, for the purposes of this conversation, we're going to talk primarily about married couples. And if you want to lump in there folks who are going to live together forever, who have their life together, maybe they have family together, if you want to lump those into one another, that's fine. But for the purposes of the discussion, we're going to talk about married couples. It goes on to say those who keep their money separate say they have found it is best to divide the mortgage, car payment, Netflix, and other bills based on each person's income and whether both use it. And so if I use all the Netflix and my wife doesn't use any of the Netflix, I should have to pay for all the Netflix. And if I use 3/4 of the house and my wife only uses 1/4 of the house, I should have to pay for 3/4 of the mortgage. That's basically what this is saying. And you can see where this discussion starts to unravel pretty quickly. And I think about this kind of stuff, and it just seems to be funny with me because there is an idea of a union and two become one when you get married, and ultimately all of your worldly goods you pledge as part of the old biblical discussions on the vows that are exchanged in old school thoughts of marriage. And basically you bring the good, the bad, and the ugly of you and with you into marriage, and that includes your finances and everything that you've got going on behind the scenes. And so it goes on to say there's an example of Anna, who's an oil and gas engineer, and they have a $2,800 mortgage. He's riskier with money, she said. If I want to buy a dress, it's my money. If he wants to buy fishing gear, it doesn't impact me. And on the surface level, I think that's great. You know, if you whether you're budgeting together or separately, you need to have some what I call blow money, what we call blow money in our family. And that's not that we're buying blow with it. That's just money to blow on different things. And that's where a dress fits in. That's where fishing gear fits in. In our household, it's more like art supplies and golf. And so, yeah, that's all well and fine. But it goes on to talk about the setup preserves their independence while they still work towards shared goals like saving for retirement. And in a perfect world, this is correct. But if you can envision a scenario where you have two folks, they have separate finances, one of them is saving money every month and the other is not. And that gets compounded for decades and decades and decades. And the next thing you know, you've got this couple with shared finances, or excuse me, this couple with separate finances, and one person is ready to retire and the other person doesn't have anything saved. What happens then? That is my big thesis question for this entire thought process of married couples who do not share their money together. What happens if one is a saver and one is a spender and you get to retirement age and only one can retire? How does it work? I've never had a good answer given to me for that. So if you have it, let me know. And so as we continue here, we're going on, and it says those committed to maintaining their financial freedom say that they can overcome risks through transparency, communication, and the use of spreadsheets and apps. I don't have any rebuttal to that. I think that sounds great. Let's keep going. On expense splitting platform Splitwise, the default split setting is to split every bill in half, and 97% of couples stick to that. The number of couples using a 60-40 split, the most popular alternative, has doubled since last year. And so that's, I guess, a thought of you're going to split things one of two ways, either down the middle or in some percentage basis. Maybe it's based on how much you use, going back to the Netflix conversation, or maybe it's based on how much you earn, different scenarios like that. And I just can't help but poke a little bit of fun at that. Let's paint a picture here is that you went out to a really nice dinner with you and your spouse, and you had a great dinner, and you come home and you're ready to be intimate with one another, and one of you stops the other one and says, hey, wait a minute, you forgot to Venmo me for half of dinner. Of course, this isn't going to really happen in real life, but it's a funny thought process as to what level of intimacy are you having with someone if you're not sharing the cost of doing life together with one another in a combined effort that way. And so we'll continue on. I think there's one more highlight here that I hit when we get to the bottom of this article, and it says merging accounts helps partners feel like they have shared financial goals and encourages teamwork, academics have said. I think that's absolutely true. My wife and I, our financial lives are combined. She knows what's going on. I know what's going on, and our goals are aligned because we're on the same page. And so then we've got this couple here. That guy kind of looks like Russell Wilson. That made me chuckle. It says, I never want to have conversations about who paid for groceries. Amen, folks. I don't live in half a house, so why do I think about splitting it in half? Absolutely true there. And so when we stop to think about this, I really made this video to have a dialogue, and really I want the comments to just run wild here. I'd be so tickled pink if that happens. If you share and combine all your finances with your spouse, why do you do it? And if you don't, why do you do it? And I guess a second level question to that is, if you do not combine your finances with your spouse, are you open to the idea? Why or why not? Get in touch with me either in the comments, or I share this to Facebook in a couple of different places. You can check that out as well. That's going to bring this content episode to a close. This is Anthony Drew Gary, host of The How To Show and the managing broker of Indeed Dwell Real Estate, saying you can get in touch with me if you need to transact real estate in the Indianapolis market, either in the comments or at IndeedDwell.com. Until next time, Anthony Drew Gary, host of The How To Show, signing off.